just to go over triple digit multiplication that includes zeros. So zeros must be sometimes kind of confusing. So for example, let's say we have this example problem. 243 times 120. First thing we do is write that somehow up and down, right? 243 times 120. Which, by the way, if zeros really bother you, you could always flip these two around and multiply 120 times 243. You'll still get the same answer. That way you don't have to deal with the zeros here. Thoughts on what to do with the zero here? What would you do, Grace? Okay, one thing in the book says is feel free just to multiply like normal. In other words, you take the 0 times all those, you're going to end up with a bunch of zeros, right? Okay. What about when I get to this 2, what happens? With my algorithm, now what's my next step there, Isabel?
You have to bring down a 0.
Right, you have to drop a 0 down, so now you, because again, this is not multiplying by 2, it's multiplying by 20. And anytime you multiply anything by 20, it's going to end with that first 0 there. So then 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 2 is 4. And then my next step would be to do what, Kate? When I get to this 1,
Add 2 zeros.
right, because it's not multiplying by 1, it's multiplying by 100. And then 1 times all those are 3, 4, 2, and hopefully adding is as much fun for you as it is for me. 29,160. Yes, ma'am.
Did you bring the 0 off?
I would recommend not hanging zeros off unless they're just one digit you're multiplying with, because it gets a little more confusing. So I would say not at that point. Now what you could do is think this. Let me get rid of this thing here. Let's redo this. Another way you could think about doing this is like this. Okay. If there's a 0 there, the 0 is not, adding 0 to all this doesn't make any world of difference to anybody. Okay, so I could forget about this 0 altogether as long as I remember that when I start multiplying by this 2, what has to happen. Okay, and a good rule to remember is this. Okay, if you're multiplying by this middle digit, okay, you are going to start multiplying and your numbers are going to start going right here. Yes? Here we put a 0 there, but you wouldn't necessarily have to. I mean, it's going to take that place. You need to put a 0 down to take that place there. If you start multiplying by this 2, whatever you multiply the first time goes right under the 2. In other words, 2 times 3 is going to be 6 right there. 2 times 4 is going to be 8. 2 times 2 is going to be 4. Same thing with this 1. The first thing you multiply the 1 by is going to go directly under it, and these other 2 things are going to end up being zeros. So 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 2 is 2. You still get 0, 6, 1. You still get 29,160. You just have a 0 row that you don't have to deal with. Now that may be a little bit more important. This one isn't maybe as confusing as maybe this problem is. If it's 243 times 102, a lot of times those zeros that fall in the middle are the ones that really mess people up. Mrs. Bochek.
Quick question. I have little clips of my preschoolers saying stuff, but I had to say something before it. Is there a way to cut out my voice and just put all their voices together that I could do?
Could I ask what you recorded it on?
It was using my Elmo. So I don't, it's on my computer, I don't know what it is.
Well, if I can use the audio files, is it audio and video?
Yes.
is it saved as some sort of a file on your computer?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Or does it say what type of file it is? Odds are probably yes, I could do it, but I can't say that for sure.
Well, what I normally do is I put it into Movie Maker, is what I've done before.
But Movie Maker won't let you
It
clip
says
it.
video clip. Well, I don't think with Movie Maker you can cut out part of it, right? Like my voice each time?
I don't know, I don't deal with Movie Maker too
Try that.
much. Is there a
It says
chance,
item type video clip. Another way to look at what else it is.
could you save that on the shared server and let me take a look at it?
Yeah,
Off of my
I
computer?
have to record the other kids tomorrow, but Fisher said to ask you if there's a way, I mean, you can even teach me how to do it, but I don't want my voice talking every time.
Yeah,
But I have to do that for them to be able to speak, otherwise they're not gonna speak.
shoot me those, put them on the shared server, let me just take a look at
Okay.
it. I don't know it.
Okay.
Sometimes, odds are probably yes,
Okay,
somehow.
thank you.
Okay. So, looking at this one here. Like I said, usually when zeros fall in the middle, that's where people run into a lot of trouble with them. So let's look and see. First of all, starting off, not such a bad deal, right? Because we're starting with the 2, it's okay, it's 6, 8, and 4, right? Okay, now you could, if zeros confuse you at all, you could sit and write down a whole bunch of zeros underneath that. Or, like I said, zero's not gonna count for anything, so you can go right to this 1, as long as you remember that whatever you multiply the 1 times the 3 is gonna go directly under that. Because it's 1 in the hundreds place, these are going to be zeros. If you can keep that straight, then you don't have to do that whole 0 times 3, 0 times 4, 0 times 2, and have all that other stuff right there. 1 times 3, 1 times 4, 1 times 2. And you get 6, 8, 7, 4, 2. So it's kind of up to you. Depending on, this way is probably a little bit quicker because you're writing down fewer numbers, okay, but if you don't, if that doesn't get you and you need to put all that 0 stuff down, you can do that. Let me give one for you to try. There's nothing quite as much fun as triple digit multiplication, is there? 234 times 204. 234 times 204. Do that one for me and see what you get. You can kind of use or do whatever way you really feel like. We've got some folks that are done already. I love it. Elijah?
447,736.
Sounds close. Let's see what happens here. 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1, 12 plus 1 is 13, carry the 1, 8 plus 1 is 9. 936? Okay, now again, 0's not gonna make any difference, so I would go over here and know that my first thing, 2 times 4 is gonna be right under the 2, and those are gonna end up being zeros. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 2 is 4. So you end up with 6, 3, 7, 7, 4. Did I get that right? Every now and then, the blind squirrel gets a little deal on that. Okay, enough of that.